Today we are going to do a high-level overview of the NCL Prima. This is not a full ship tour. We're going to be doing a full ship tour in just a few days where we will cover every single deck and every single space on board the ship that is public. Today we are doing more of an overview, letting you know what is on the ship, where to find those things, and what you might find super interesting. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, Johnny from Byte Cruises. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, thanks so much for coming to check us out. We're just a travel agency trying to give you really good information here about cruising in case you want to go on one of these amazing cruise vacations. Specifically today, if you would like to go on the beautiful NCL Prima. We recently completed a 5-day sailing of the Prima. Usually I do these overview videos prior to going on the cruise, because it's one of my research steps before I go on a cruise is to kind of compile all the information. And then once I do that, I have it, so I put it out in a video so that you can have it as well. Just to give you a pretty good idea of where things are on the ship, what's on the ship, so you have an idea of what you can do, what you can't do. So this is going to be a little interesting because now I can give you some tips because I've already been on the ship. So I just completed a 5-day sailing to Bermuda, and let's go over the ship in general. First off, NCL Prima was built during the pandemic, which made it one of the longer builds for them. It's also one of the more interesting builds recently for Norwegian. It's a little bit of a polarizing ship when it comes to Norwegian cruisers. Some people love all the things that Norwegian does. Some people like certain ships or certain classes. And this one tends to be a little bit polarizing. So it was launched in 2022. Katy Perry is the godmother of this ship. It is 145,000 gross tons. That is a big ship. It's not a massive ship. It's not the, Oasis class or any of the super large ones. It's not even as big as the Breakaway Plus class on Norwegian. To give you a little bit of context, the Breakaway Plus class, like Encore is 169,000 gross tons, so it's bigger. Not only that, but the passenger capacity is way more on Encore. So what Norwegian tried to do on this newer class of ships, the Prima class, is create way more open space, outdoor space, so that you are closer to the sea. You can get to see way more of the ocean and be a little more spread out and not be as crowded. Now, anyone can argue whether or not they've succeeded in that. In this particular cruise, it was very cold for a few days because we left out of New York. Maybe not the best ship for cold weather because everybody tends to come inside, right? So you lose some of that beauty and the awesomeness of that outdoor space. But anyway, let's get into it. It holds 3,099 guests at double capacity. So that means 2 people in every room. Now keep in mind, there can be 3 and 4 people in a lot of rooms. So the capacity could go up to about 3,600. Generally speaking, that doesn't happen. On our particular sailing, there was about 2,900 guests. So there is 1,500 crew. That gives you a really nice crew to guest ratio, almost 2 to 1, which is really, really good, which should give you much better service while you're on board the ship. So this ship had a lot of new features. One is Ocean Boulevard. If you've been on any of the Breakaway or Breakaway Plus class ships, one of the amazing things that Norwegian did with those ships is introduce the waterfront, which is like a boardwalk that goes all the way around the ship, almost all the way around the ship, about 3/4 to 5/8 around the ship, let's say that. And it gave you the ability to have some outdoor dining, to have way more seating outside. They've taken that concept and exploded it here on these new Prima and Prima Plus class ships, where you have infinity pools off the side of the ship. You have a whole bunch of loungers out there. You have some artwork out there. And again, you still have all of that amazing outdoor dining space, some bars out there, an outdoor space on the Indulge food hall. So you have way more outdoor space, and they've made this area so much bigger. The downside of that is the inside on deck 8, which is where the Ocean Boulevard is much smaller. So there are hallways that only go one way, where usually you can go kind of up one side, down the other, or you have this long promenade space. Now it's a little more narrow and you're just kind of winding around, and then if you want to go anywhere else, you have to go down or up or come back. So pros and cons, there are some design things that I don't love about it, but I just want to give you that information so that you're aware of it. So on deck 8 there, you have all that amazing outdoor space. Now they have a new setup for the Haven. The Haven is the suite area on board the ship. The entire Haven area has their own elevator bank, which segregates them a little bit from Gen Pop or all the normies like us that are in regular rooms. So that gives them the ability to not have to get priority service out there, which should help with the flow on the elevators in the general space. So they have that. They have a brand new spa on board. And then let's talk about all of the dining options on board, because there are a ton of places to eat on board the ship. If you're looking for included food, you don't want to spend any more money on your cruise, you could do that with no problem. You have 2 dining rooms. You have Hudson's and the Commodore room. You can go to either one of those. They are interchangeable. On the older ships, they have a concept like this called Taste and Savor. Those are right across from each other. That creates a little bottleneck. I think they did a good job here where they have one up on deck 7, one down on deck 6. So they're not really next to each other. You can go to either one of those. You could see on the boards how crowded they are. Next up, they have the local. This is called Oceans on some of the ships. It's the local on some other ones. It is kind of bar pub food. They made this way bigger. There's a huge space on the left side of the ship, and then there's a sit-down area on the right side of the ship. Really nice, kind of like a sports bar, swanky feel to it. Very, very nice. That means the buffet is much smaller on the ship, and I'll give you 2 reasons why. One, because of all these other options, you have a very, very small buffet. It's about 1/3 of the size of the normal buffet on a cruise ship. That's going to create some bottlenecks. However, they did include Indulge Food Hall. This is a really cool concept. I still think it's a little bit too small. We'll see what happens on the newer ships. But there is a ton of indoor and outdoor seating here. So on a beautiful day, I think it's fine. It accommodates a ton of people. On a cold day or a busier day where it's maybe raining or something going on, there's not a ton of indoor space, and that fills up very quickly. Indulge Food Hall is a food truck concept where you sit down, you basically have a little kiosk or an iPad in front of you there, and you can order from any of these like 10 or 12 food trucks. You could order Indian food, you could order Asian food, salads, desserts, whatever you think. You could just order an appetizer from here, an entree from there, and they just bring them all out to your table. I love the concept. I love the food. It's just not always great because of the weather or whatever's going on outside, and it does fill up very quickly. So just keep that in mind. If you're on the ship, you want to get there early, or try to make sure you go there on the days when it is beautiful outside, or port days, which of course is a great time to experience things on the ship. Next up, let's talk about specialty dining. There is no shortage of specialty dining on any Norwegian ship. They have Food Republic, which is Asian fusion. You have Cagney's Steakhouse, Le Bistro, which is French American dining. You have Palomar, which is Mediterranean. You have Hasuki, which is the hibachi. You have Nama, which is sushi and sashimi. You have Los Lobos, which is Mexican fare, and Onda by Scarpetta, which is Italian. Tons of different options. Norwegian, with their new More at Sea program, has now changed it where there's just a cover charge for each one of these restaurants. So you may get some specialty dining included in your More at Sea package, which will give you drinks. The dining, it'll give you like an excursion credit and some internet time. Or you could just pay cover charge to go to these restaurants. I kind of like it, I kind of don't, because in the cover charge scheme of things, what happens is sometimes I would like to go to get sushi and just grab a roll or just grab dessert, and you can't do that anymore because there's no a la carte menu. It is strictly a cover charge. So if you want to go to sushi, it's $50 per person. You can get a whole bunch of food. But if you were just looking for maybe a roll or two, it's probably not going to be the best experience for you. But anyway, that is what it is. Those are the specialty dining options. Next up around the ship, just some highlights for you. The Galaxy Pavilion is an interactive VR arcade. Not my cup of tea, not my favorite. On every ship that I've been on that has this, things are broken a lot. We went on, we tried to do this little shooting VR game. We sat down and he's like, great, you just sit down and you'll have triggers on both sides. You can, fly around. I didn't have triggers on either side. So I paid $9 to sit in a chair and basically go on a roller coaster. So just keep that in mind. There are fun things in there like skee ball and different things, but there are a lot of VR things. And in my experience, they're broken a lot and they need to be repaired a lot. So to me, it comes off as a bit of a wasted space, which on some of the other ships, they've taken it out and they've increased the size of the spa or made a bigger spa footprint there. So maybe that's going to come at some point, but I do think that they have it on the newer ships as well. I'm not sure why. So You do have that, but around that you have this amazing, beautiful observation lounge. This is one of my favorite things from the Breakaway Plus class that they've incorporated in the Prima class and the Prima Plus class. However, I do think it's really small. On the Breakaway Plus class ships, it is double decker. So you have these amazing 20, 30 foot floor to ceiling windows. On this, they're much smaller. It is a nice quiet space. It is still beautiful in there, and there are snacks, food, and coffee in there pretty much a big chunk of the day. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you will find some things in there. It is very nice. It's nice to go up there later in the evening, grab some coffee or tea. It is a nice spot there. They do have a lot of fun things to do for kids and adults. You have a 3-deck race car track, so that is really fun. However, in my opinion, you're only going to do this once or twice. It takes up a whole lot of space on the ship for something that you would maybe do once or twice. They have a really cool mini golf course on there. They have darts where you can rent a little darts cube where you could sit down. There are really nice loungers there, some TV there. So you can do that. It's not expensive at all for 30 minutes. I think it was $15, which is great, up to 6 people. Can't beat that. You have really fun. They have little beer pong tables. They have cool ping pong. They have footy soccer where you play under the table. Really cool concept. A little more fun things to do out on the upper decks there. You do have 2 water slides. One is a drop slide. One is a tube slide. And then you have 2 dry slides on each side. One is a drop slide. One is a kind of shimmy in. The one that you shimmy in is very slow, but it is fun. They're both fun. They drop 10 decks down onto it. Next up, let's talk about the entertainment on board the ship. If you want some information, there is a ton of entertainment, but I do have some critiques for it. I'm just going to give you those. The entertainment on board is Burn the Floor, which is a Latin ballroom show. People seem to love this. Burn the Floor has been on a lot of different ships for Norwegian. This one's called Bossa Nova Beat. It's great. If you enjoy that type of dancing, I'm sure you will love the show. They do have a few other shows in the theater. They have a Welcome Aboard show, and then coming in August, they have Red, White, and British, which is a brand new show developed by Norwegian themselves. There are other things going on around the ship. You do have a comedy club. My warning here, it is tiny. So if you want to go to the comedy show, you do have to get there about an hour ahead of time in order to get in. It only seats, I would guess, around 40 people. So it is very intimate, which is great for a comedy club, but is 3,000 people on board. So it is very, very small. You do have to get there very early. Same with Sid Norman's. If you go to see any of the shows in Sid Norman's, it is about an hour to an hour and 20, 30 minutes. I saw people waiting in line. I just don't want to wait that long for a show. My counter to that is the shows in Sid Norman's are fantastic. One of the shows in Sid Norman's usually is the Fleetwood Mac Rumors show. That show is spectacular. And on my cruise, I don't know if they do this on every cruise. On my cruise, they did that in the main theater twice. And it is amazing. I couldn't recommend it anymore. They also do The Price is Right, which is fantastic. They do that in the theater. Another critique, it was sold out before we got on the ship, which I get it. You can reserve things ahead of time, but usually for most cruises and most cruise lines, they do reserve some of those things for people who don't pre-book so that you can book those things on the ship. The minute we walked on the ship, we were one of the first people on the ship. It was already sold out. And when we went to look at the standby line, again, people were standing in line an hour or so early. That's not a great experience for me, but if you can pre-book it, and you'll be good to go. It is great. You'll love The Price is Right. They also do Wheel of Fortune and Deal or No Deal. Those are a little more kind of pay-to-play games. Price is Right is just a blast. So that is my high-level overview for you of the Norwegian Prima. Like I said, we're going to have some vlogs. We're going to have our review and debrief coming up this week. We will have a food review as well as our ship tour. So thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful day and happy cruising. Bye.